It was a cold and dark night in the lower part of the space station. The metal walls were wet from broken pipes and old lights flickered above. Most people stayed away from this area. It was dirty, smelly, and filled with forgotten things. But Ryan walked there every day. He was a repairman. He fixed broken machines, old lights, and dead power lines. He didn't care about the mess, he just wanted to finish his work and go home. That night something was different. As he walked past a corner near the trash units, he saw someone sitting on the floor. It was a small figure, wrapped in torn cloth. The person looked cold and weak. Their face was hidden under a big brown hood. Rain dripped from the ceiling onto their shoulders, but they didn't move. Ryan stopped. Most people would have walked past. But Ryan felt something. He didn't know why, but he couldn't ignore her. He slowly walked closer. It was a girl shaking from the cold. She didn't speak. She didn't ask for food. She just sat there like a broken doll. Ryan opened his bag and took out a food bar and a thermal blanket. He bent down and placed them in front of her. "Here," he said softly. "You look like you need this." The girl didn't look at him. She didn't move at all. Ryan stood there for a moment. Then, as he turned to leave, he heard a soft voice. "Why?" He looked back. The girl had not lifted her head, but her voice was clear. "Why are you helping me?" she asked again. Ryan shrugged. "Because no one else will." There was silence. Then, slowly, she reached for the blanket. Her hands were thin and blue with tiny scars on them. She pulled the blanket around her shoulders and held the food bar in her hand. Still, she didn't lift her head. "You'll freeze here," Ryan said. "My workshop is close. You can rest there for a while. It's dry and warm." She didn't reply. "I'm not asking questions," he said. "I'm just offering help." Ryan walked away. He didn't think she would follow. But when he opened the door to his workshop, he heard quiet footsteps behind him. She had come. The workshop was small but safe. Tools and wires hung on the walls. A heater sat in the corner. A small sleeping pad was on the floor. Ryan pointed to it. "You can sit there." The girl walked slowly and sat down. She was still wet, still hiding her face. Ryan gave her a towel. She took it and began to dry her hands. He made some hot broth and placed the cup beside her. She held the cup in both hands, her fingers still shaking. She didn't drink yet. Ryan watched her quietly. He was curious, but he didn't want to scare her. After a few minutes, he asked, "Do you have a name?" The girl didn't look at him. "No," she said. Ryan smiled a little. "Everyone has a name." She didn't answer. He sat at his desk and picked up a broken control board to work. Still, his eyes kept going back to her. There was something strange about her. Not just her silence or her scars, something deeper, like she didn't belong here at all. Then she spoke again. "You shouldn't have helped me." "Why not?" Ryan asked. "Because now you're in danger." Ryan looked at her closely. "Are you running from someone?" She didn't reply. He slowly reached for a small handheld scanner. He aimed it at her arm, just to check if she had an identity chip. Every living being in the galaxy had one. The scanner beeped once and then shut off. "No record found," it said. Ryan's eyes widened. That wasn't possible. Even criminals had records. This meant she had been completely erased from the system. "You're not just a beggar," he said. Still, she said nothing. Suddenly outside, heavy footsteps echoed in the hall. Ryan quickly turned off the lights and checked the camera screen. 3 large figures in black suits were moving toward his door. They were fast and quiet, not normal people. The girl stood, up at once. Her body was tense. She whispered, "They found me." "Who are they?" Ryan asked. "Hunters," she said. "I can't let them catch me." Ryan stood between her and the door. "They're not getting you." She looked at him, and for the first time she reached for her hood. Slowly she pulled it back just a little. What Ryan saw made his heart stop. Her skin was smooth and silver blue. Her eyes glowed like stars. Strange lights moved across her forehead, old symbols he had only seen in history books. "You're," he began, but she stopped him with her hand. "Don't say it," she said. "Not yet." In that moment, Ryan understood. This wasn't a normal alien girl. This was something bigger, something dangerous, something the galaxy had tried to hide. And now, he was part of it. Ryan had always believed his life was small and unimportant, fixing broken wires, cleaning filters, and staying invisible on the edge of the galaxy. That was enough for him. But now, in less than one night, everything had changed. The girl sitting in his workshop was not just a poor beggar. She was something more, something that made his heart beat faster, something the galaxy had forgotten or tried to erase. She had only pulled her hood back a little, but what he saw kept flashing in his mind. Her glowing eyes were not just strange, they were ancient. Her skin, marked with faint symbols, was not from any known species he had worked with before, and the scanner showing no record found was the final sign. This girl didn't exist, at least not anymore. Ryan tried to stay calm, but questions filled his head. Who was she really? Why was she being hunted? And most importantly, why did she come with him? She sat quietly in the corner, her body wrapped in the blanket. Her cup of broth was now empty. Her head remained low, but Ryan could tell. She was listening, watching, waiting. "I need to know something," Ryan said carefully. "I helped you. Now they're looking for you. If I don't understand what's happening, I might die without knowing why." The girl looked up slowly. Her silver eyes locked onto his. "You don't need to understand," she said. "You only need to survive." "That's not how I work," Ryan replied. "I need the truth." The girl stood up. Her legs were still weak, but her back was straight now. She walked slowly toward the center of the room and touched a small metal table. Her fingers glowed faintly as they passed over its surface. "I had a name once," she whispered. "But now, it is forbidden to speak." Ryan watched as strange symbols lit up on the table where she touched it. The old metal, dusty and unused for years, responded to her touch like it was alive. She wasn't just a lost traveler. She had control over ancient technology. "Who are you?" he asked again, his voice softer now. "I am someone the stars tried to erase," she said. "But some things never disappear." Before Ryan could ask more, a loud noise came from the hallway. A sharp beep. A door trying to force itself open. She turned her head fast. "They're here." Ryan rushed to the console and pulled up the camera feed. 4 figures now, all in dark suits. No faces shown, no emblems, just silent, deadly shapes moving with purpose. "They don't knock," she said. "They break everything." Ryan moved quickly. "There's a hidden exit through the vent shaft. It's small, but we can fit." She looked at him with a strange expression. "You're helping again." "I guess I still haven't learned." He opened the vent and pulled out a small flashlight. The girl crawled in first, her body quiet and graceful like she had done this many times. Ryan followed and sealed the cover behind them. The tunnel was tight, and the air smelled like rust. As they crawled through, the girl finally spoke again. "I was once the heir to a throne," she said. "A world with 3 suns and a sky that never slept." Ryan couldn't believe it, but he didn't interrupt. "They said I was too kind," she continued. "They said kindness is weakness, so they tried to kill me. But I escaped." Ryan whispered, "Why are they still chasing you?" "Because I still live." They reached the other side and climbed out into a dark storage bay. It was quiet here. Safe for now. Ryan stood beside her, breathing hard. "So what now?" She looked at him, the stars in her eyes still glowing. "Now you run with me," she said, "because there's no turning back." Ryan didn't answer right away. He looked at the girl he had found in the rain, dirty and silent, and now she stood in front of him like royalty in hiding. Powerful, hunted, alone. He took a breath and nodded. Let's move. Behind them, the quiet space station slowly woke up to the sounds of doors breaking and hunters entering. But Ryan had made his choice. He didn't know where the road would lead, but he knew one thing. She was no longer a beggar, and he was no longer just a repairman. In the deep silence of space, sometimes the most dangerous sound is none at all. They didn't speak, they didn't shout, they didn't even knock. The hunters simply moved, fast, silent, and cold, like shadows, with weapons. And they were now inside the station. Ryan and the mysterious alien girl had escaped through the narrow vent shaft just minutes before. But time was running out. The hunters were not just any bounty group. They were trained to track, capture, and erase without leaving a trace behind. And now, they were closing in. In a hidden storage bay full of old parts and dusty crates, Ryan checked the security feed from a small, cracked screen. He watched as one of the hunters walked through his workshop. The man didn't look around. He simply placed a device on the floor. Seconds later, the entire room was scanned, mapped, and cleared. Ryan's tools, his bed, his life, gone in a quiet flash of red light. "They don't want you alive," Ryan whispered. "No," the girl said. "They don't." She stood in the shadows, watching the same screen. Her face was calm, but her hands were shaking slightly. She had told him the truth. She was once the heir to a powerful alien world. But her kindness was seen as a weakness. So they betrayed her, tried to end her, failed, and now they were trying again. Ryan didn't understand everything, but he knew one thing. These hunters were not acting alone. "Who hired them?" he asked. The girl turned her head. "My own blood." Her voice had no hate, just a quiet sadness that echoed deeper than words. Ryan nodded. "Then we better move before your family finishes the job." They moved quickly, using side tunnels and service doors. The girl knew the station's layout better than Ryan expected. She walked with purpose, guiding him through hidden paths. It was clear now, she had been here before. Maybe even lived in these shadows longer than anyone guessed. As they reached a sealed elevator shaft, Ryan pulled out a small control pad. He rewired the system and forced the doors open. But before they stepped inside, the girl stopped him. "Wait," she said. "Listen." Ryan paused. At first, he heard nothing, but then footsteps. Not metal boots. Softer. Lighter. Someone else was in the hallway. A second later, a man appeared, young, wearing a black cloak and holding a data pad. He didn't look like a hunter. He looked at the girl, and then he knelt. "My lady," he said in a trembling voice. "I never thought I'd see you again." Ryan stepped in front, blocking him. "Who are you?" The man raised his hands. "I was part of the Royal Guard. Before they turned on her. I've been hiding, waiting, watching. When the old codes activated, I knew she had returned." The girl looked at him closely. "Your name?" "Saren," he said quickly. "Saren. Val, I swore to protect you. That promise still stands." She stepped forward and touched his shoulder. "Then you must help us leave this station." Saren nodded. "A transport ship is waiting in Dock B, but we must hurry. They are blocking the main exits." Ryan didn't trust Saren, but they had no time for doubt. "Let's go," he said. They moved fast, using maintenance tunnels to reach Dock B. On the way, Saren shared what he knew. Whispers of old loyalists hiding in different systems. Secret codes that only the true heir could unlock. And most of all, a prophecy. "They say when the true star blood returns, the skies will burn," he said. Ryan looked at the girl beside him. She didn't answer, but her eyes were glowing again. As they reached Dock B, the lights turned red. An alarm screamed through the station. They had been spotted. "Run!" Saren shouted. The group sprinted across the dock. A small ship was waiting, engine warm and ready. Just as they reached the ramp, 3 hunters dropped from the ceiling, guns raised, eyes hidden. "Target acquired," one of them said coldly. But before they could fire, the girl raised her hand. Symbols on her skin lit up like fire, and the air shifted. A force exploded from her palm, silent, bright, and unstoppable. The Kyu. Hunters flew backward, smashing into the metal walls. Not dead, but not moving. Ryan stared in shock. What was that? She lowered her hand. Only a small part of what they fear. They boarded the ship. As it launched into the stars, Ryan looked back one last time, his station, his quiet life, all of it. Gone. Beside him stood the girl the galaxy had hunted, and now they were flying straight into the storm. She once ruled stars with her name alone. Now her name could get them both killed. The stolen ship moved through the black space like a ghost. Silent, unseen. But the girl, Kirel, sat still near the back, staring out the window, watching the stars pass. She was calm, but Ryan could feel the weight she carried. He had fixed broken wires and dead machines his whole life, but now he had helped something far more fragile, a living secret, wrapped in flesh and fire. He had questions, 100 of them, but the quiet inside the ship was too heavy to break. Even Saren, the former royal guard who now sat in the pilot seat, kept his eyes forward and mouth shut. Finally, Ryan sat beside her. I saw what you did, he said. She didn't turn. That energy blast. You didn't even speak a word. Still, she said nothing. He continued. I don't know what kind of power that is, but I know one thing. Everyone out there is afraid of it. Afraid of you. Now she turned. They are not afraid of me, she said softly. They are afraid of what I remind them. Ryan raised an eyebrow. And what's that? She looked away again. That mercy still exists. That the galaxy hasn't erased all kindness. That someone like me, who refused to kill, still breathes. Ryan stayed quiet for a moment, she added. That's why they want me dead. Behind them, Saren broke the silence. We'll be safe for a while. The trackers were scrambled when we jumped into deep drift space, but we can't stay out here long. Where are we going? Ryan asked. Saren hesitated. There's a moon, Rellen's grave. It's cold, dead, and forgotten. But loyalists have used it before. There's a vault beneath the ice, a place with answers. Kirel stood slowly. Then that's where we go. Ryan looked between the two. I didn't sign up for royal wars and frozen moons. She turned to him gently. You helped a beggar, but now you're flying beside a future. You don't have to stay, Ryan. Ryan shook his head. Too late. The moment you pulled down your hood, the old Ryan died. So let's see where this road ends. Hours passed. The stars changed. And then a cold, dead moon came into view, white, cracked, and lifeless. As the ship landed, the wind outside screamed across the empty plains. Ice formed on the walls, and the sky above had no color, just a dull gray emptiness. They stepped out carefully. Kirel walked like she knew the path already, her feet moving with purpose. Ryan whispered to Saren, She's been here before? Saren nodded. This place was once part of the royal route. Long before her fall, they reached a circle of stone, buried under ice. Strange marks were carved into it, symbols that looked like stars and waves. Kirel knelt and placed her palm on the center. The ground shook. The circle opened. A stairway of blue light appeared, going deep below the frozen moon. They entered. What waited below wasn't just a secret. It was history itself. Walls of glowing crystal showed images, of battles, of kings, of peace and betrayal. A great empire built on power and then destroyed by fear. And in one tall crystal stood a figure, young, shining, royal. It was Kirel. Ryan stared in shock. They turned you into a myth. She nodded. And now they want that myth to stay buried. From the shadows of the vault, a voice echoed. But not all of us forgot. A figure stepped out. An old alien with long white robes and golden eyes. Kirel gasped. Master Ilaran, he bowed. My princess, my queen, you are not dead. She ran to him and they held each other. Ryan watched, unsure what to feel. Ilaren turned to him. You helped her? Ryan nodded. She would have died out there. Ilaren looked at Karel. Then fate has not abandoned us. But before they could speak more, a red light blinked from the ship. Siren checked his device. His face went pale. They found us, he said. Karel stepped back, her eyes glowing again. Then we fight. Ryan's hands curled into fists. Whatever she was, wherever she came from, she was no longer alone. And neither was he. Some wars are fought with armies. Others begin in silence, under ice. The vault, deep inside Rellen's grave, trembled. Faint. Cracks ran across the glowing crystal walls as the hum of approaching ships echoed through the frozen surface above. Ryan could feel it. Danger was near. The air was too still. The silence was too sharp. Karel stood tall, her face calm but her eyes burning. She was no longer hiding in shadows or covered in rags. Now she stood as what she truly was, heir to a broken throne chased by assassins and still unbent. We don't have time, Saren said, checking his scanner again. 6 hunter ships just broke orbit. They'll land in under 5 minutes. Ilaren, the old master, moved toward the center crystal. His hands glided across the symbols, activating ancient systems that hadn't been touched in years. The walls began to shift, revealing hidden paths and forgotten weapons. These halls were not just for memory, he said. They were built for defense. The old empire planned for this. Ryan looked at Karel. Can we trust this place to protect us? She didn't blink. It's not the vault that will protect us. He understood. She meant herself. Saren handed Ryan a small shock rifle. Know how to use one? Ryan took it. I fix machines, not fire weapons. Saren smirked. You'll learn fast. The first blast came like thunder from the sky. Ice shattered above as the hunter ships landed with force. The vault ceiling trembled. Dust fell from the walls. Karel stepped toward the entrance chamber. Her body began to glow, not like before. This time it pulsed, as if something inside her had awakened. Ilaren placed a hand on her shoulder. If you open the seal, your power will return fully. Karel nodded. Then open it. A hidden door slid open. Behind it was a glowing platform with old wires and crystal arms. Karel stepped onto it and closed her eyes. The moment her feet touched the center, the air screamed. Energy exploded from the chamber, spinning in wild circles before snapping into her skin like lightning pulled to a storm. Her body lit up. The old symbols on her arms flared, brighter than before. Her eyes turned into swirling stars. Ryan covered his face as wind slammed into him from nowhere. She's activating the star bond, Ilaren shouted. The gift passed only through royal blood. Outside, the hunters entered the vault's outer halls. They moved fast, silent, carrying weapons designed to kill with one shot. These were no common thugs. These were elite, but they were not ready for what stood waiting. Karel walked toward them, now glowing with light that moved like liquid across her skin. She raised her hand, and the ice melted. Energy shot from her fingers and struck the stone. Walls twisted, closing behind the attackers. Some were trapped, others forced to fight in narrow spaces they didn't know. Ryan stood behind her, weapon shaking in his hands. What do I do? Protect the left passage, Saren ordered. No one gets through. Ryan nodded and moved. His heart pounded, but his steps stayed firm. He had never fired a weapon in real life. But today, he wasn't just a repairman. He was part of something bigger. A hunter appeared in the hallway, weapon raised. Ryan didn't wait. He fired. The blast hit the wall. The second shot hit the target. The hunter dropped. Ryan stared at the body, breathing fast. He had done it. Behind him, Karel fought like a star brought to life. Her arms moved like fire, her steps like wind. Every time she struck, the ground shook. The hunters began to fall back. But then, a new sound, one that froze her in place. Voice from the hallway, deep and cold. I raised you better than this. Karel turned. A tall figure walked through the broken stone. He wore royal armor, black and gold, with a crown-shaped crest on his shoulder. Her uncle, the one who had taken the throne after her fall, the one who ordered her death. "You're still alive," he said, "but not for long." Carell stepped forward. "This ends here." "No," he said. "It only begins." Behind her, Ryan tightened his grip on the rifle. Beside her, Saren drew a blade made of light. Above her, the old vault ceiling cracked louder, and inside her, the fire of her bloodline rose again. The war hadn't waited. It had come to her. And now, she would answer. The blade didn't pierce her skin. It pierced her heart. Carell stood frozen, her glowing arms trembling, her breath caught in her throat. Not because the enemy attacked, but because the traitor was someone she once trusted. Saren, the eye. Same Saren who swore loyalty. The same Saren who called her my queen. He now stood behind her, blade drawn, the edge barely touching her back. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "They have my sister. I had no choice." Ryan shouted from across the vault. "No," but it was too late. The energy field around Carell dropped for just 1 second. That was all her uncle needed. He stepped forward, calm and proud, and struck. A bright blast of power flew from his hand and hit her chest. Carell flew backward, smashing into the crystal wall. The sound of cracking glass and her scream filled the entire chamber. Ryan ran toward her, but another guard blocked him. "You don't belong in this war," the man growled. Ryan answered with a scream and swung his shock rifle like a club. The strike hit the guard's head. He pushed past and dropped beside Carell. Her body was glowing. Weakly now, the marks on her skin were fading. "Don't move," Ryan said. "I've got you." She looked up at him, her eyes wet, not with pain, but with betrayal. "He was family," she whispered. "And Saren, I know," Ryan said. "But I'm still here. I won't leave you." From above, her uncle raised his staff. "You're nothing, human. You don't know who she truly is." "I don't need to know everything," Ryan snapped back. "I just know she matters." The uncle laughed. "Then you'll die with her." He raised the staff to strike again. But something changed. The vault itself responded. The crystal walls pulsed. The symbols across the chamber glowed again. A voice, deep, ancient, not from any living being, spoke inside the walls. "True blood remains. The bond is not broken." Light burst from Carell's body. The chamber shook. The vault had chosen. Her power returned, stronger than before. She stood, the wound on her chest healing before Ryan's eyes. Her eyes no longer shimmered. They burned, like twin suns. "Enough," she said, her voice no longer soft. It echoed, layered, like many voices at once. Her uncle stepped back. Even Saren dropped his blade, face full of fear. "You tried to kill a memory," she said, "but I am not a memory. I am the storm you created." She raised her hand. This time, the blast was not a flash. It was a wave. The ground cracked. The enemy was thrown back like dust in the wind. The royal traitor screamed as his armor shattered, and Saren collapsed to his knees. "I didn't want this," he cried. "I was weak." Carell looked down at him, her voice shaking. "You didn't break me. You broke yourself." She turned away. Ryan caught her before she could fall. Her strength was fading again. "I can't hold it much longer," she said. "We need to get you out of here," Ryan said. But the vault had one final surprise. A hidden chamber opened. Inside it, a throne. Not gold, not stone, but light, floating, humming with power. Ilaren stepped forward again. "That is your last protection," he said. "Sit, and the stars will answer again." Carell stared at the throne. "If I sit, I become more than myself." Ryan looked at her. "And what happens to you? The real you?" She turned to him, tears in her eyes. "She's already fading." He took her hand. "Then don't fade alone." With slow steps, she walked to the throne. The moment she sat, the vault sealed. The light swallowed everything. The galaxy would soon know. The beggar girl was never broken. She had only been waiting to rise. The galaxy didn't blink. It stared, wide-eyed, silent, and shaking. Across thousands of systems, emergency channels began to flicker. Blacked-out satellites turned on by themselves. Broken relay towers, long dead, suddenly glowed with life. From frozen moons to burning suns, every screen lit up with the same impossible image. Her Kirel, not as a beggar, not as a fugitive, but as fire and light, sitting on the ancient throne of stars. Her skin shimmered with the marks of her bloodline. Her eyes held galaxies within them. And behind her stood Ryan, a human nobody, a mechanic from the forgotten edges of space, now seen beside the most powerful being alive. News anchors stuttered. Generals dropped their glasses. Kings and queens stood up in fear. The throne that was lost had returned, and it had chosen its heir. But deep inside the vault, it wasn't power Kirel felt. It was pain. The light pouring into her body was too much. She had spent years broken and hiding. Now, the ancient throne was giving everything back. Her memories, her energy, her birthright. But it was burning through her soul. Ryan stood near her, helpless. "Can you stop it?" She shook her head slowly. "This is the only way." Outside, ships began to descend. Some came in peace. Others came to destroy. But the light from the throne reached out before they could fire. It wrapped around the station. Like a shield, a voice echoed again. Not hers this time, but the throne's. "This is the last heir. She shall not be touched." The enemy ships froze in orbit. One brave pilot tried to fire. His ship exploded before the weapon could charge. On the ground, Saren watched from far away, holding his injured shoulder. He had betrayed her. He knew it. But now, seeing her rise again, he fell to his knees and wept. "I didn't believe," he whispered. But she was never meant to die. She was always meant to lead. Back inside the throne chamber, Ryan reached for Kirel's hand. "You don't have to do this alone." Her voice was tired. "I never thought I'd feel warmth again. I thought the stars had left me. But then, you gave me food. A blanket. A chance. You gave me more than that," Ryan said. "You gave me purpose." She looked at him one last time. "Then promise me, no matter what happens, protect what's left." "I promise," he said, and then with a blinding flash the vault roared. The throne vanished. The chamber went dark. Silence followed. For a moment, the entire galaxy held its breath. Then, the stars shimmered. In place of the throne now stood a glowing symbol etched into the stone floor, a seal of peace, unity, and rebirth. And beside it, Ryan, alive, alone, but not forgotten. From the shadows, Ilaren stepped forward and placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder. "She is not gone," he said. "She is now everywhere." Ryan looked up. "What happens now?" Ilaren smiled gently. "Now, we rebuild. And you will lead." Ryan shook his head. "I'm just a mechanic." "No," Ilaren said. "You are the one who saw worth in the unwanted, and that is the heart of a true ruler." Across the stars, messages of peace began to spread. The galaxy, long divided by war and fear, now had something new. Hope. They had all ignored the dirty alien beggar. They had all laughed at the idea that kindness still mattered. But in the end, she saved them all. And the human who gave her a blanket, he changed history. Forever.